Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. We'll see how this goes. I've been dealing with whatever I got sick from the other day. Well, I got over most of it, but woke up this morning and my right ear is like totally plugged. So I think a lot of it's just allergies and sinuses and stuff. Look, man, where I live, it's like crazy pollen. So if you get seasonal allergies, living in the mountains amongst all these trees and everything's probably not going to do good for you. But typically towards May, things start lightening up for me, and then I'm good the rest of the season. But anyways, I'll try to do this talk even though it seems odd because it feels like I can't hear out one side of my face, but you know how that stuff goes. Well, guys, I kind of just wanted to, I know lately I've been going down, maybe some more negative like roads, and not that the video game theory is negative or anything, but just some of the other stuff. And thank you guys for those of you that gave me some support from the video I cut yesterday about the dark night of the soul. Look, folks, we all go through these ups and downs, and I haven't perfected yet the balancing out of duality and or being able to separate myself from the duality completely, so you get caught up in that, right? Just the waves, because everybody goes through that. The pendulum swings both ways, right? But I appreciate you guys that made comments yesterday. You that means a lot to me, honestly, folks. It really does. So, but I wanted today to just talk about where hopefully we're not going now. It looks like things are starting to turn. Enough people are awakening, are awakening, and there's some momentum going that's starting to change the course of where the world was going. And so what I'm talking about was, Klaus Schwab and the WEFs, their push for the Great Reset, right? Well, for those of you that have been in this struggle, this of trying to wake up your fellow brothers and sisters for a long time, you'll know that these plans have been in work for even longer than I've been born. These globalist psychopaths, these totalitarian wannabe dictators have been slowly building up their systems, putting their agents in place, undermining societies, undermining governments, undermining judicial systems, all in the long-term goal of bringing humanity into a total world totalitarian, technocratic tyranny, absolute abject slavery, where the few would have complete dominance over everybody. Sorry, folks. Ooh. Yeah, this the after effects of that cold or flu or whatever I had the other day, man. It just it's been a pain, but we're gonna keep trooping through. So, anyways, they've had these plans in place for, you could say, hundreds, if not thousands of years, to get the right technology and the right control where they could bring in a total one world government, totalitarian system with total control and surveillance with their technologies, their technocratic means. And we were getting real close, folks, to their their total tyranny taking place. And now humanity's starting to fight back, and that pendulum's starting to swing. They had that pendulum pushed up so far to one end that, to the side of darkness and negativity, that now they've lost control of it and it's swinging back. And you've just seen recently Klaus Schwab retired, or whatever you say, stepped down from the WEF. You're starting to see pushback on the forced migration that was used to try to take over Western nations. And we'll leave it at that. Look folks, I'm not going to get into the racial politics of all that. I think those of you that know what they were really truly trying to do. But I don't play that game because, look, it don't matter what color you are, what, race, creed, gender, all that. Look, we're all brothers and sisters. We all come from the same home. But when we get lost in this game, in this simulation that we call Earth, when we incarnate here, we are programmed to forget all that, and we're programmed to divide ourselves amongst colors and races and nations and genders and everything else. So I try not to play into that game, but they were playing that game, okay? They were playing division tactics and trying to get all of the races hating each other, and trying to get men and women hating each other, and they've been pushing to get religions to hate each other forever. And this has all been plans that they've had for a long time, and it's not hidden. They write about it, the old famous Mason, Albert Pike, I mean, he laid out these plans, these world wars, and these steps that they were going to use to bring the whole world under total tyranny. But a lot of it, they were waiting for the technology to catch up to what they needed. Well, we're in that stage now, folks, where they have the technology and genetics. They've got the technology, with robotics and AI, with digital currencies. And I'm not an anti-digital currency person, folks, as far as Bitcoin and all that. I get that most of those were projects started by the CIA and by other intelligence agencies, and beta testing digital currency. But see, the digital currency they're beta testing for is this CBDC, that this token economy where every transaction you make is monitored, is surveilled, and it's put on a blockchain ledger so that they know everything. I mean, there's no getting around it with cash, with bartering. Now I get it, Bitcoin and some of the other, cryptocurrencies were designed to do the opposite, right? To give you that freedom of trade and bartering without government oversight, without surveillance. And, there's part of me that wishes that was completely true, but look, they know exactly where every Bitcoin is going. They know exactly where every Ethereum or what have you goes. Now, there may be a few cryptocurrencies here and there, some minor ones that are, a little more secure and is kind of blocking their abilities at tracking all this stuff. I know Mike Adams talks about Monero all the time. He says it's more secure than Bitcoin and all that. And that could be. But I don't think people understand now with the quantum computers, with the technologies they have with the AI, and and how powerful these large language models have gotten. I don't think they realize how powerful these things are, and the computing power, and the way that, like, essentially they can break any encryptions. And I mean, these supercomputers, these quantum computers are they're revolutionary, and they could be great for humanity. But like with every technology, folks, there's, you know, it could be a double-edged sword. It can be used for good and for bad. Like things like cryptocurrencies could be used for good. It could give people, and it is right now, a lot of people are utilizing it this way, can give people a way to do their bartering, their buying and selling, and without having to use these central currencies, you know, that are controlled by a let's just say people that have been in this game for a long time, controlling world currencies for a long time, and they've perfected the ability to enslave nations and peoples with their monetary system that oftentimes is usury, that oftentimes is designed to steal the wealth and the energy of a population and to enslave its government and debt. And it's typically based on nothing. It's based on fractional reserve banking and stuff, where they're lending you out essentially nothing, and they're charging you interest. And the way that, and you would say, well, if it's still you're using their money, then, you know, they're not really gaining anything. Well, no, what they do is they take that and they buy land, and they buy real assets. You know, they control resources with that land, stuff like tangible. You know, they move, when they're selling you their fake money, your nation, they're, you know, printing their fake money with your nation. They're taking gold and silver in payment and stuff. So, you know, that's what they're doing. They're trading you bullshit monopoly money for real wealth. You know, gold, silver, land, resources, businesses, stuff like that. People's intellect, creativity, energy. They truly are vampires, folks, these people. I did a video on that, talking about the banking system and how it's ran essentially like a vampire organization, okay? But the good thing is, folks, like I said, people are starting to wake up. Now, whether he follows through with it or not, I don't know, but Trump claims that he's not going to ever make the U.S. currency CBDC. But he is open with working with the Treasury Department and stuff, buying cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and stuff, you know, as a hedge. And I think that's some positive stuff, folks. And look, I'm not a Bitcoin guy, folks. Like, for one, I can't afford Bitcoin. I would love to, trust me. Now, there was a time when I did do trading in Bitcoins, and I had some Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff. And unfortunately, you know, there had come up a time when I had to sell what I had. Actually, that was when we moved from Colorado to North Carolina. I sold all my cryptocurrency as to help us with the down payment and stuff for a house out here. So, you know, it was good. I used it. I didn't make a lot on it because I bought it. When I bought it, it was lower, and then it went up. But then when I needed to sell it, it had gone down some. So I came out a little ahead, but not much, you know. I know some of you, though, that I know personally that are on this channel. In fact, you do pretty well in this stuff, and that's awesome. So, hey, utilize what you can. If it works for you, right, then do it. But, you know, we were so close to a major dismissal of peoples across the earth, if you get my meaning, folks. Look, if you've read the Deagle report, you'll know what I'm talking about. And look, folks, that Deagle report's still not wrong. We still have to see over the next 5 to 10 years what the repercussions are going to be from what these psychopaths did to us. I still got to talk carefully on here, folks. I know YouTube has let up quite a bit on a lot of these subjects, but I think that's only because of the winds of the time right now. But if those winds change, they're going to come back with a hammer, because they're technocrats. The people that run these social media accounts, like Mark Z and all that, they're technocrats. They were backing this world totalitarian takeover, folks. Okay, now they've had to back off, because now you know what happens, right? When the tides turn, and you were one of the bad guys, you got to try to blend back into society, right? And act like, oh no, now all of a sudden you're going to ride the train of populism, But you're still a stinky ass rat just hiding, right? We know who you are, and we know what they are. But the plan was to introduce this genetically modified, weaponized, essentially we could break it down to a cold or virus, right? And they were weaponizing it, and it was all an orchestrated event planned to bring it out on the world's population. But folks, we got to realize we're still not seeing the end of this. Thank God a good almost half of people didn't do this stuff and give it to their kids and everything. I know I was one of them. I did everything I could to shield my children from that. And I was ready to give up my job if they were going to force that on us. Thank God they didn't. But in fact, my job's union amazingly protected us from that, shielded us from that, when a lot of other agencies and stuff were forced. So I hope you guys know what I'm talking about here. Obviously, what's gone on over the last 5-6 years, right? But the plan was to cripple the world, to dismiss a large percentage of the world's population. And then the kicker is that most people don't understand is that there's also slow dismissals that are engineered into this stuff. That's where it could take 5 to 10 years. That's where, issues with your heart, and your blood and other stuff could come into play, right, folks? Well, it's more diabolical than that, folks. What they're finding now, and now studies are coming out, mainstream, are finding that it destroyed the fertility of the men and women that took this stuff. It is literally turning the men's little white swimmers into more like little spiky balls, if you get my meaning, folks. And women's eggs now have been compromised and destroyed. So the young people that took those things, that bought the propaganda, or their mommy and daddy were too stupid to try to tell them what was going on, because they were lemmings and sheep, NPCs. Well, a lot of those young people, when they decide to finally try to have kids, they're going to find out they're not going to be able to. So just understand what I'm talking about here, folks. These are the studies starting to come out. This is the long term. This is why Deagle was showing a massive decline, okay, in every nation. Because this was a worldwide, I don't know if I could say the word. I want to say the genocidal, if you get what I'm saying here. It was, these people all need to be dealt with. We need Nuremberg trials 2.0. And it's disgusting. But people are starting to wake up to this. And like I said, folks, a lot of us didn't do this stuff, take this stuff. And kind of the ironic thing about this is that the people that were the bootlickers, that were the literal easily manipulated sheep for world governments were the ones that did. So you know what that's going to leave, right? Is a higher percentage of the people that seen through the tyranny and that stood up to it. So I don't know, folks. Maybe there's a silver lining in all this. But the thing is, folks, look, I've already said, there are brothers and sisters still. We've got to lament what has happened to them, even though they were stupid and ignorant and blind and easily manipulated and weak of will, weak of spirit, weak of vision. We still, man, we got to love them. We got to lament for the fact of what they've done to them and their own families, and that how that's going to affect the rest of the world. Folks, we are going to see a drastic drop in populations worldwide because of all this in the next 10 years. And it's not, people aren't going to really realize it now. They think now we're past the worst of it. No. Like I said, there's a slow drip in this. It's kind of like those slow release, like aspirins and stuff, right, folks? Like some medicines are designed to be slow release. Instead of it hitting your system instantly or within like 30 minutes or whatever, some are designed to release over 12 to 24 hours. Well, if you think of that in days or years, right? Get what I'm meaning? What I'm saying here? These were carefully modified weapons. But the worst thing was the fertility thing. Because, see, these people, folks, they're psychopaths. These people are eugenicists at heart. They tell you all the time, right? The Georgia Guidestones. But these people, if you listen to their talks, like Bill Gates and such, listen to what they say. They're constantly talking about that we need to get rid of populations. All the time. They're psychopaths. People like Bill Gates should be brought up on Nuremberg charges. His wealth should be stripped, and he should pay the ultimate price. Instantly, not sitting in jail forever. It should be summarily quick justice, if you get my meaning. But there's a lot of these types, and I hope these heads of these social media companies realize where that puts them, because they went along with all this. Oh yes, most of them attended Bilderberg and Davos, and well, I guess Bilderberg and Davos are the same, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of them were attending these roundtable talks, these WEF talks and all that. They were given marching orders. That's why they censored us all. They tried to stop us from warning our brothers and sisters, folks. These people are diabolical demons, okay? But to finish this out in a positive manner, folks, look, those of you, I'm just singing to the choir, right? Most of you guys understand what I'm talking about here. You understand what the big plan was. Total tyranny, cut the populations down to a manageable amount, basically push everybody into smart cities. Every single thing you do would be surveilled, see, they wanted to design it so there would never be an uprising. Everybody be disarmed. Everybody be using their token currencies that would track every single thing you do. Everybody be connected to their internet of everything, internet of bodies, so that even your own thoughts, your own bodily reactions, your emotions would be tracked and traced. Total domination, total surveillance, body, mind, and spirit if they thought they could. And most of us gone with only enough left to be their slaves. That's it, folks. And they figured now with robotics and AI, they wouldn't need their workers anymore to build this world up. That they with the robotics and AI, they would have what they needed for a workforce to live in peace, and their version of peace and prosperity, where they'd live like kings. All of them would live like little barons with some serfs serving them, and robotics building everything they need, and most of the the town's gone, people living out of the country gone, everybody pushed into little 15-minute cities where you wouldn't even be able to leave the city without permission. Folks, China was the beta test for that, the smart cities. But they brought out this attack on all of humanity, and there needs to be swift justice done. And it's looking like we might be seeing the beginnings of that. But we got to get our brothers and sisters on the left to wake up too, folks. They are still lost in this game of imagining these people care about them. And that I don't know. I just don't understand at this point how it can be that way. They're totally ridiculous. But even them, I think some of them are starting to wake up. And I think a lot of them are really wishing they hadn't took the jabber-jibby, But they did. And unfortunately, a lot of them got their teenagers and their college, children, their college children to do that stuff. And the repercussions for the future for that's going to be horrendous. Look, there's already countries, folks, that are looking at total population collapse, like countries like Japan and China and stuff, that they have one kid per family on average, and then after this bioweapon hit, that's going to further hammer that. I mean, look, we're not going to see it now, folks. We're going to see it come in the future. Now, a lot of doctors and scientists are coming up with ways to cleanse the body of all these poisons they put in us. They're coming up with ways that may be able to reverse what has been done to people. So there is hope, folks. Look, once humanity has woken up and we all start working towards helping each other again and coming up with solutions to this stuff, then we can turn this ship back around. And I do believe that time's coming, folks. I think we're starting to see the beginnings of that, and we got to get behind the push for this, folks. We got to make sure that these people are going to be brought to justice. We need a worldwide tribunal, and we got to go after all these people because, look, if we just leave them alone, they stole all the money. They still have their hands on the technology. They still got plans. Look, they're just hiding in the shadows right now. A lot of them have gone quiet, and they try to act like they're populist now, right? But they're waiting for their chance to. They're just reevaluating their plans, and they're going to continue, folks. These people are diabolical demons. I question if some of them are actually spirits from the same place we come from, or if they are some kind of entities from another realm, or if, like I've mentioned before, they've just been in this realm of duality for so long, and they figured out a way to keep coming back without going back to source. And because of that, they've gotten just more decrepit, more evil, more demonic the longer they're here. I don't know what it is, folks, exactly, but these people are not normal people, okay? They're not like me and you that just want to raise your family in relative peace and prosperity, to actually be able to pay your bills, own a home, maybe have a nice little garden, raise some chickens, just a lot of stuff basic people want. Now, if you're not a more rural person, then fine, but your city should not be crime infested. Your city should not be invaded with migrants. Your city should be clean. Your city should be technologically advanced like they have in China. They took all that from you, okay? They've taken that all from us. For those of us that like to live in nature and all that and be more around animals and then rural's great. But some of you like city life, and that's fine too. Look, a lot of times younger people like city life because it's, there's more clubs and bars to go to. There's stadiums and a lot of exciting stuff. And look, a lot of us that are more enjoy the country more, we go to the city when we want that stuff, right? But a lot of us now don't want to go to the cities because they're decrepit crap holes. But imagine if we were using all these technologies locked up in DARPA and stuff in the military industrial complex, and we were using those to actually further society. If we were utilizing AI and robotics to free us of menial work and labor, and actually using those systems to rebuild our cities, to clean up our cities, to free our people. Folks, we were never meant to come to the Garden of Eden to be workers. I'm talking our spirits. Our bodies were designed to be that way because these entities have had control of us forever, since the beginning. These Anuna, these Elohim, the ones that we worship as gods, they enslaved us, folks. They tell you in the Atra Hasis, we're creating this Adamu, this man, to replace the work of the Agigi, of the gods. They designed the human avatar to be a worker slave class. That's us, folks, okay? Now, I'm not talking about our spirit. I'm talking about these human bodies. See, outside of the body, folks, we have immense abilities. We have immense manifestation abilities and all that. And I truly believe what's going to be ushered in the golden age is that humanity will be freed up from menial labor and all that, that we will figure out a way to utilize AI and robotics and different types of currencies and stuff. Probably have to be new currencies to reset these old demonic currencies, right? These Phoenician, Canaanite, Babylonian, Judean monetary systems with real systems that actually help humanity, that work with humanity, that don't enslave us. And we will be freed up. We may still have some jobs and we may do labor because, look, you need to still be active, right? You don't want it to be like the movie WALL-E, right? A lot of us would probably turn into that, but you got to figure out in a way that you get everybody to buy in enough so that people still want to produce and add to society, So, just some things to think about, folks. But I do think that we are moving to a time where when people are more freed up, they'll be able to get more spiritually connected again. And the true golden age will be where we figure out how to bring our manifestation powers into full power here on earth, incarnate even in the human body. And that we learn how to do natural healing and all these different things that we have the abilities outside of this realm to do. So, just something to think about, folks. But I think things are turning the corner, okay? We need to when we got to celebrate the wins too, right? Like I said, a lot of times I feel like my videos are turning into black pills, and I don't want it to be that way, folks. I'm just pointing out what is going on and trying to teach people and awaken people, because if you don't know what you're fighting against, you don't know where to direct your energies. So, but there is a lot of positive going on, and I do think we're starting to grab the controls back, and there are good people behind the scenes doing, heroic things that we couldn't even imagine, risking their own families and their own finances and their own futures to try to get us out of this quagmire that we find ourselves in. See, there's always this interesting swing with the swing of the pendulum, right? In duality, when those energies start shifting, it has a way of raising up heroes, raising up some people to do extraordinary things. And those heroes, they stand out in the front, and they'll face the hordes of darkness, the hordes of evil. They'll be the flag bearers, and they're the few, and they're taking all the shots, and all the weapons are against them, right? But then others see them, and then others start gaining courage, and others start standing behind them, and then others start stepping forward and standing next to them, and then some relieve them and step ahead of them, and then the hordes, then all of a sudden, as the mass awakening happens, all of a sudden the horde of darkness starts shrinking, and the light starts overcoming. And I believe, folks, that that's what we're going to start seeing here. Nobody's perfect. Even our heroes, or these people that are fighting the good fight, they're like all of us, right? Even within themselves, they battle with that carnal self. You know, the spirit and the carnal animal self are always at war with each other. But as long as you let that light shine within you and overcome the darkness, and you can know your own darkness, but you've got to let your light overcome it. And we've got to raise the vibration, folks. We got to just keep pushing, and it's happening. Okay. So really good things going on, folks. Look, sometimes you got to go through hell to appreciate heaven, right? And I kind of wonder if sometimes we get so bored of being in heaven, we come here to experience hell, then it makes us long back for heaven, right? Or maybe bring a piece of that heaven here to this earth, to this simulation. Bring it back to the Garden of Eden, which it was meant to be and which it was designed to be. So, anyways, guys, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go. If any of you are interested in doing those Zooms, those one-on-ones, you guys know I offer those, my time for your donation. And I'm also going to be sending out garnet gifts for people. I collect purple rhodolite garnets in the wild, and I've been really working furiously over these last few days trying to figure out ways to clean these off, because I would really like to send everybody more clean gems, but I may not have the time to do it, folks. I'm getting closer, but I'm working with acids and stuff. If you were to grind all these things, it would take way too long. You know, it's way too hard, and you don't know what's inside the rock. But if you can get the right acid mixtures, I'm finding you can clean off. You get it just right where it cleans the rock matrix off the garnets, because garnets are very hard. They're like a 7 on the Mohs scale, and you want to get it just right where it eats away that rock and that outside encasing the garnet, but then leaves the garnet undamaged, you know. So I've been working on that. That's why there's a couple of you that are waiting for your garnets. They are coming. Trust me. I'll send some extra special stuff to you guys too, because I really appreciate your support. And it's just another thank you for doing these Zooms. It's helped me out a lot. I posted a video yesterday talking about that, kind of what my family's been going through. And some of you have been like just absolute like guardian angels. It's the universe finds a way to provide, and some of you have happened to be those providers, and I hope I'm adding value to you back, giving you that platform to talk. You get to keep a copy of that Zoom. We have those amazing one-on-ones, and which is, I enjoy those. I could sit there and just and talk with some of you like every single day. It's awesome. I love it. But I really appreciate you guys. And those garnets are going out. I know a couple of you I've told that I was already going to be sending them out, but I've been holding off because I'm trying. I'd love to send you more, some of the bigger gemmy ones. The little ones are gemmy already because the river's done all the work. Tumbled them and, polished them and everything. But I'd really like to get some of the larger ones to you guys too. But like I said, that's a harder process there. So I may just start shooting out, maybe some of the ones I've worked on, but mixed with just raw ones and then the little gems. But anyways, folks, those are coming out. Okay. Hold on. They are coming out. I'm not stiffing you guys. I'm trying to get some things lined up, and I've got a lot going on my plate right now. So I'm trying to stay focused also on what I am doing with this platform and everything too. So I'm trying to get better at doing daily videos. I know it doesn't always happen. I always got a lot going on the weekends and stuff. And, life is what it is, folks. Trust me, if I could live off doing YouTube and that's all I did, I'd be doing probably, at least 2 YouTube videos a day, and have a regular platform. But it's going to be a while before I ever get it built up to that, because YouTube, as you guys know, is heavily limiting this channel. I have a nice core of repeat listeners, but it's not letting me reach any new people. So you guys can help me out by sharing my videos, by passing me on, to other people, my channel, that is, and just sharing and liking and commenting. All that helps the algorithm. So they don't want this message out, folks. Look, they're fine with us being in the shadows, okay, so to speak, on YouTube. They don't want this stuff coming to light, because this is the type of stuff that's going to cause the awakening. And they're trying to stifle that and stop it. See, what they're trying to do is ride out Trump's presidency so that they can hopefully bring in another leftist, globalist goon and put them back in power that'll just totally abdicate to the technocrats so they can get back to their move for world tyranny. So just understand that. Look, we only have a window, folks. We got to move, okay? So anyways, guys. Hey, guys, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.